Welcome back to another episode of Muse, where we talk about anything creative. We have your host, Ezra.
And I'm Naseem.
Bro, what are we talking about today?
Today I'm super excited.
Okay.
Today we're going to be talking about arts versus crafts.
Okay. I did not know the topic, so every time I ask, I'm actually dead ass.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know the topic, so at this point I'm a little confused. Is it even what we're talking about today?
Yeah.
All right, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, so I feel like we should really define, like what do you think is a artist versus a craftsman?
See, me personally, I look at the artist as somebody who can be a creative. You know, just because you're an artist don't mean you can do everything within art. You know, doesn't mean you can explore every avenue, express yourself in every way.
So you can be an artist but not have the technical ability.
Yeah, because when I say a craftsman, I think a craftsman has mastered that. For example, you have people who work in like engineering. I wouldn't say they're fully artists, but I would say that they definitely mastered the ability of craftsmanship to be able to design and create tools.
Well, it's like the modern day, I would say, for example, would be an architect being the artist and construction workers being the craftsman, basically. Would you think that would be comparison to that?
I definitely think so.
Every day.
I definitely think so because, like, within architecture, they're coming up with designs, they're coming up with things that will make this place beautiful or iconic. But as well, when it comes to the people who's really designing those pieces and it's carving those things or, you know, building it in that way, they're not part of that game plan. They're just the
making
tool.
Sure that it's structurally sound.
Yeah, they're more used as a tool, you know?
Yeah. So I had to ask you, when it comes, because there's a lot of artists that I'm inspired by, and there's something that we both know. And a big example that people like to go off of is Jeff Koons.
I love Jeff Koons.
Do you consider Jeff Koons an artist?
It's hell yeah, definitely. Especially I'm an advertising major, so I gotta consider Jeff Koons an artist. He's more of a creative director, but I feel the creative director is maybe one of my favorite types of artists. Being able to specialize in creating something from beginning to end and knowing what that end product should look like.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't like Jeff Koons, and I do feel like there is a lot of examples of range. Like Jeff Koons is ultimately like not involved with that at all, right? And then you have Takashi Murakami, who hires a bunch of. Don't get me wrong, Takashi Murakami has done his own paintings before and his own artwork early on.
And you do love him as well.
I do like his art, his art visually and like the meanings and direction he goes for. But I feel like he's to the point now where he has designers and artists kind of, I would say, present him with stuff, and he like kind of corrects and directs the ideas to build this piece. But he has a huge team of artists, or huge team of craftsmen to bring this idea to life.
And I think for some things, it's unrealistic to expect one person to do it. I know we look at like old paintings, and I'm not sure if it was a bunch of people on a team working on it, but it only ever shows one person's name when you're looking at these like Catholic church paintings or whatever. It's like those paintings took years. And a lot of people want to see that stuff done within a part of their lifetime and not something that takes their whole lifetime to create.
Well, that's kind of like how we talked about before with the apprentice and masters. Like a lot of those old paintings were done with the master painting the main subject. He has a bunch of apprentices painting backgrounds and like prep work and things like that. And like nowadays, two artists that Kennedy Wiley, he did Barack Obama's portrait. He has a system where he does big paintings where he paints certain elements. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. He might paint the face or whatever. He might get someone else to paint the hands and feet and someone to do the background. Sometimes the smaller paintings he does by himself. And then, of course, you got James Jean, a favorite artist of mine, when he has a big exhibition and he has to create a lot of pieces of a certain size and magnitude. He has a small team of I think 3 assistants, he said, to help him out.
But you think a lot of times, I think these artists also come up with something in the post. When I say they come up with digital designs that they're coming back to for reference and things like that. So especially if you look at those prime, I guess, post examples of what they plan to do, and as that goes out within their work, they're definitely the main artists, and people that's helping them get that initial idea and design done are really craftsmen and helping that idea come to fruition.
Yeah. Another example I have. So this is honestly, this is very controversial So a lot of times people have the argument of are hyperrealism artists, hyperrealism painters, artists, or craftsmen. And I feel like that comes down to the specifics.
Definitely.
Because it's just like you do photography, right?
For sure.
So would you consider someone who just has people like a school for portraiture where they just sit and shoot compared to someone who organizes
portraits as well?
Yeah, so like would you consider someone who just sits and shoot
I would not, because they're not really taking to every... They have a system that they're doing, you know? It's just like you teach somebody... I have worked one of those jobs before, you know?
Yeah.
They teach you, okay, how they like you to take portraits. You know, there's no artistic ability or no artistic thought coming into that. So I feel that it all comes with the initial thought.
But it is like composition, though. Like you're
composition,
still
but it's
using
like
design elements.
But you're using templates. Okay, your feet should go here. Your body should be this way. Your hair should be turned here. And this is the portrait. You know? Yeah. So it's just like, I don't think people within that will really use... Look, for example, would those people use that for a portfolio? I don't think they will. I don't think they will be like, oh my God, look at all the work I did for these high school portraits, these elementary school portraits. That's not portfolio work, in my opinion.
True. Yeah.
But now they open their own studio and they got to sitting down. They're coming up with different light design techniques.
Yeah.
They're coming up with different color grades. They're coming up with different ways that they want to pose their models. You know, different wardrobes. That's where the art starts to trickle into the photography and allows it to be more the individual and what the individual wants to express.
I mean, I definitely think that relates back to the realism thing. It's like, I feel like it depends on how you design, because regardless of the final product, once you get to the painting stage, you're just going to completion off of hyperrealism, unless you're doing a certain interpretation that's still realistic, but is a unique way of approaching it. It's really the photography stage. It's like, are you designing this reference to have a meaning or purpose, or are you just like point and shoot, like, oh, I just want a regular portrait, I don't really have a purpose, I just want to paint a realistic eye.
Right.
It's like, then I feel like there's a difference there and a disconnect.
But also I think it's this, what does that piece of work means to that person, to that individual.
Well,
now, if I'm making a realistic portrait and I'm like, this realistic portrait, I wanted to go deep into the eyes, and I want to have a level of detail, because when I look at these eyes, I feel as though I'm looking into my soul, and that's their connection to the work. Whatever it is, it can be unique in any way. That is art, because it's art to them.
And some people just want to see how realistic they can get it.
Right. For example, or like with Da Vinci, you know, when he was just studying a lot of anatomy, body parts and stuff like that. I don't think that's really art. I think that's
his study, his draftsman ability.
That's studying his that's a study. That is
it's like you're advancing your draftsman ability, your technical ability.
For sure. And I mean, this makes me think about when it comes down to the artist versus craftsman. Look at music. You got ghostwriters and you got people who perform the song. So who's the artist and who's the craftsman? Because
the craftsman is a ghostwriter. Because I feel like with performance art, I get it. I get like music. You have a bunch of things that correlate. But when you think of a musician, like a rapper or whatever, they're trying to figure out, how can I make this sound better, to make this like have that bring that person in. How do I say it to make people evoke emotion with it? Well, I feel like a writer's like, all right, this is how fundamentally writing works. This is what works the best to make music sound good, I guess.
Yeah,
in terms of like cadence and flow. So it is really hard. It's really rough.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
like
they
both can be the artist. Yeah. But I think the initial craftsman has to be 100% the writer, because, for example, Charlie Puth is one of my favorite writers. He wrote songs like Slow Motion. He wrote songs like Stay. You know, like Slow Motion by Trey Songz, or Stay by
really?
Yeah, he wrote that by Kid Leroy and Justin Bieber.
I did not know he. Well, I knew that. I did not know he wrote Trey Songz.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Cause like, bro, Charlie Puth is an amazing writer. I mean, people even give Drake a lot of flack, but Drake wrote a lot of amazing songs. Like he wrote, what's that one song by Alicia Keys? But he wrote it. I forget what it's called right now. But he wrote an Alicia Keys song. But anyway, it's just like, bro, like, I can sing it one way, and I watched Charlie Puth go back. Oh, and he wrote no, my bad. What's that dude's name? I love him. Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran wrote Love Yourself by Justin Bieber. So
I like Ed Sheeran a lot.
I love Ed Sheeran. It's like when you look at all these different artists, like you hear how they sung it and what emotions it makes you feel versus the person who released it, how they sung it, how it made you feel. It is completely different a lot of times.
It's always give and take. It's never cut dry.
It's never cut dry.
It really depends on how much someone's putting into it. Like, you have an artist that wants to do a collaboration. It's like, oh, I had this whole song, but you sound better on it. Let me give you this song.
Right.
Versus someone that's just like, hey, I'm writing a song. This is a beat. This is like the flow I'm going for. Can you get some words for me?
Right. I think it's definitely a difference between a ghostwriter and someone that's taking you step by step as well, you know, with reference tracks and different things like that, and like training you through it. But as well as people in the music industry all the time throw songs around like hotcakes. Like, oh, that was my song, that's why I gave it to him. That was my song, that's why I gave it to her. That was her song, that's when, you know, they throw it like to see who matches the best with it. For example, I can make a song, you can give me the lyrics, and you can have it produced one way, I can get it produced a whole nother way.
True.
Now that's a whole nother song. You know, like I know, what's her name? Supermodel by SZA. Supermodel by SZA. Like, she was just, she wrote the song, and she was trying to just find people to do drums for her. She went to a lot of different people, Pharrell being one of them, and she was just trying to figure out what drums match the best for the song Supermodel. You know,
I mean, also it's just like with Kanye West and Jail, he did a Jay-Z, and he did the Baby, or is it Is it the Lil Baby or the Baby?
It's the Baby. The Baby.
I was right. So yeah, he had the same song and threw the verse for different people to see what they did. I personally like the Baby better.
I like the Baby's version better because the Baby be snapping, bro. He do be snapping.
Yeah.
He got to make a comeback. But no, bro. Like, yeah, I definitely think that when it comes to the difference between an artist and a craftsman, it's a lot of small I can't say the word. Intricacies. Whatever, I think you said. You don't say it way better than I ever could say it. There's a lot of small of those. Yeah. And, for example, I was wondering, do you think you will ever be okay with being a craftsman? Or, as well as, do you think you would be okay with having craftsmen work for you as you being the lead creative directing artist?
I feel like it depends. Like, I already know there's a lot of stuff I want to do with my brand Berserk. Mm-hmm. But eventually, all the stuff that we're going to do, I might get to the point where I will be creative directing and improving. So, yes. But then when it comes to my personal work, I will always be, like, when I do books and stuff, I'm always going to be doing it myself. And that's another thing. I actually like to separate my mindset. So, when you're doing the thumbnailing and planning stage, I like to think of myself as an artist. Like, what does this piece mean? What is this composition? How is this working? And then when I actually get to the execution, I like to cut off the creative side and just think about craftsman ability. How can I execute that?
I love that.
So I think when it comes to being, especially an illustrator or an artist that requires a lot of technical ability, I feel like you do have to separate your mind to be both at different times.
That's a clip. I love that. That's a clip. That's a clip for sure. Yeah, bro. You know me, bro. I'm a lazy bastard, bro. Oh. Yeah, I definitely want to get this. Like, I watch Mad Men. And, you know, Mad Men, this show about advertising. Like, my main goal is to become a creative director of the Muse Hall, everything. So it's just like, I definitely want to get to the point where, you know, I'm working on things. I can still do things. I can still take pictures. I can still design things. But when it comes down to building that team, I'm like, I love this person because he brings this to the table. I love this person because she brings this to the table. I love this person because this is what they do. So at the end of the day, it's just like, me personally, when it comes down to what I plan on, is like I definitely want to build up everything that we talk about doing to the point that we can have a team and create opportunity. Because I think people kind of give a lot of people, like, what's his name? Jeff Koons. Yeah. Jeff Koons flack. But he's creating opportunity. He's creating a lot of opportunity.
Bro, in our history class, we had our history class, they destroyed him. They're like, I don't like him at all. To be real though, like, to be honest, I do like his hustle and like his, because, you know, you can't just get to that point just like not doing anything.
You can't get to that point on accident. It takes hard work.
But also, I ain't gonna lie though, his work is not my favorite because it's not. Like, I like Takashi Murakami because I like his, like, especially the, I think it's like the 50 or 5, some crazy number, Buddhist painting where it's like a bunch of like these crazy looking Buddhists and it looks crazy. You gotta look at it. It's fire. I'm probably gonna ask you about that one later.
Okay.
But I feel like it's a difference in my appeal, so that's why I like this artist over this artist. But ultimately, at some point in time, they did the same thing. So
right. Yeah, for sure, bro. And, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, like, the opportunity they create. Like I just said earlier, you know, we can't give flack to artists that's giving other artists opportunity.
Yeah, who do you think's making all this?
Right, and it's just like we just got to make sure that people in their camp isn't getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
This happens in music. This happens in a lot of things where people are now stealing ideas and they're not the initial idea creator. So as long as that's not happening, I'm not for stealing ideas. I'm not for stealing
Appropriation.
I'm not for none of that. But I am for creating things, needing a team, and I'm not the best at everything. For example, there's been a lot of things that I would come up with an initial design and you would redraw it for me, and it's because you're blessed with that technique. And it's just like, now we're doing this together, and I give you all the credit, you give me my credit, and as well, you come up with something, you bring it to me. I give you other ideas. You got all the credit. You like, I give Nassim credit for these ideas that he helped me with. That's a loving relationship. That's a healthy work relationship with anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all about giving your credit, giving people a pat on the back where they deserve it, and making sure that everybody's being valued the way they should be.
I mean, I feel like as an artist, like, there's a lot of people who have too much pride to even sign up for something like that. So I feel like if you have a big team of creatives accomplishing your ideas, I mean, they're getting paid. Hopefully, they're getting paid,
Right?
And I feel like you said, like, that artists allowed a lot of opportunities for people to actually work in the creative field. Even a lot of people don't even want to be artists. They want to be craftsmen, like stained glassers.
Because it's hard. It's hard to come up with ideas as well.
Yeah, like stained glassers. Like, a lot of them like to get ideas thrown at them and they accomplish it. Or like rug makers, or I'm trying to think of some of the top of my head, but like ultimately, there's a lot of craftsmen that just love, like people who do woodwork.
Yeah.
And things like that. There's artists in woodwork, but there's a lot of people who just like to accomplish things, or metalwork, or whatever it is. So I feel like it's a great balance, and I feel like it should be wrong to have that in the artistic world when it comes to fine art as well.
And what we're talking about is just like this between an art and a craftsman. That craftsman, in my opinion, should be inspired by that artist. Should be valued and very appreciative that they get to work on a product that they believe in. That's that's the key factor, that they believe in what they're even working on in the first place. That they're not just there as a gig, like, oh, I believe in Ezra, I believe in Chef Koons, I believe in Nassim, I believe in whoever. You know, I love what this project is, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree for sure. But I think that's pretty good. Pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
Nah, I think you should subscribe, click that
bell icon, leave a like, comment, and thank you so much for coming for another episode of The Muse, where we talk about anything creative. And come back next episode to be inspired.
You wanted me to join in on that Muse, didn't you?
I did.
I wasn't going to do
Let's
it.
try one more time.
The Muse.
Find your muse.